Go. All right. Welcome. I'm here with Steve Gregory of VTrader. How are you doing today, Steven?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well. Sorry, we got a little bit of a late start, technical difficulties, but here we are. Before we get started, Steven, I would love to know a little bit more about you, what you were doing before you got into the industry, what piqued your interest in crypto, and then what ultimately gave you the idea to build VTrader.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll start off. I was an attorney for a little while, up until I'm still an attorney, but I was practicing in a firm until sort of the end of 2016. Right around then, crypto was starting to get big. So like Ether had come out, Gemini and Coinbase were out. Like it was starting like that little rumbling before that sort of like first retail run up that like got kind of famous. And I actually went to the partners of the law firm and asked them if we could go try to pitch some crypto companies to do this sort of narrow area law called money transmitter licensing. Like nobody really cared about it. It was, sort of like Western Union type services. But then it became evident that crypto was going to be regulated under sort of these money transmitter rules. The Treasury had come out with a guidance in 2015 sort of saying that this was going to happen. This is sort of boring legal stuff. But then the firm I was at basically was not into it. And then one of my friends, who's actually still a crypto attorney, was like, "You should just go reach out to crypto companies directly and try to, work there and do that." And reached out to Gemini, and within like 2 days, I was hired there, started working there, did a bunch of compliance and legal stuff. There was only a very small company at the time, probably like 15 people. We didn't even have an office. It was in the Winklevoss Capital office at the time, so Gemini no office, whatever. A couple developers, a couple people. And I was there, and when that massive run up in 2017, Bitcoin went from like a few $100s to 20K. It seemed like everybody was talking about it. And then I was there for a couple of years. Did that. Then went to another exchange called CEX, which is a European exchange. CXAO. It was actually the first exchange to launch credit cards for crypto, which doesn't sound like a big deal now, but at the time was. I took them from a European exchange to the US, got them all licensed, grew that company pretty big, and then I got approached by these guys who ran capital.com, which is actually a really big brokerage in Europe. They want to start a crypto-only brand called currency.com. And we launched currency.com. We grew that for about 4 years. And then in May of this year, we sold currency.com to a group of investors in Europe. And now I decided, I had been doing spot market and offshore derivatives market crypto for a couple of years. I figured I had a good idea for my own. I thought, I saw the trading, I saw the friction, and I saw like the high fees that people are paying. I thought that, staking came out in 2021. And I thought that, when Ether converted from proof of work to proof of stake, and I thought like maybe we should base a company around sort of holding assets on deposit instead of transaction fees. And I think, the customer interest is aligned with the company's interest. So I thought we could make a business out of it. And we launched VTrader and, trying to grow that now.
What kind of solutions did currency.com provide?
So currency.com was kind of cool. They had an offshore sort of derivatives, like high leverage exchange, similar to like a BitMEX or something like that. And then they had like a regulated spot market in US and Europe. So it was sort of just a everything platform. They had, a couple hundred assets on the platform. It was pretty fun place.
And now you have VTrader. So give us a high level overview and then we can dive into nuts and bolts.
Yeah. So essentially users get the benefit of free trading. As long as they hold roughly $1,000 notional of proof of stake assets. So if you basically have, a quarter of an Ethereum or, a couple Solana, a couple AVAX, whatever, you deposit, you stake it on the platform, you get your balance whenever you want to take it. But for the time that we're holding those assets, you get free trading forever. So it's kind of cool. When you realize like, I've ran a couple centralized exchanges, I've seen how big of fees it are. It's roughly, Coinbase takes roughly 3.5% on every trade. So it does add up over time. You don't realize because there's like a make your fee, take your fee, plus there's like transaction fees on top of your credit card fees. They bake it in pretty well. Even some companies, if you use their app instead of their website, you pay a 2% fee. So we just are really transparent, no fee if you stake your assets.
And no fee if you stake any proof of stake asset, which I think is interesting. Normally a platform like this would require you to purchase their native token, but you guys are saying no. Just one of the popular assets, ETH, Solana, stake it, and you're good to go.
Avalanche, anything like that, because it's kind of cool. So what will happen is for the time that we are custodying assets, which we were going to custody anyway, we'll take the staking rewards. If you want to withdraw your assets, you take them with you. You get exactly your money back, and then you can go do whatever you want with it. But just for the time that they're deposited on the platform. So what we think is that, when we see dips in the market, customers will just hold the balance on VTrader. So that when they want to smash buy a dip, why pay the fee, right? So if I go, buy $10,000 of Bitcoin on Coinbase right now, I'm going to get hit with like, $400 in fees. Not worth it, right? If I just have the account on VTrader, I hold $1,000 in Ether there, I can just save that, smash buy, and no fee.
So how are you guys generating revenue? Just through the assets being staked?
Yeah. So when we're custodying your assets, validators will give off staking rewards, roughly in periodic increments based on the blockchain. But it's, roughly every 10 minutes on some blockchains, we'll get a very little piece of revenue. And then we'll just keep that over time. That'll offset your trading fees.
That outweighs operating costs as well?
Yeah. Yeah. And the good thing is we get the benefit of price appreciation. So like if you did your fee on Coinbase, like they just take the $400 fee, which is a great fee. Don't get me wrong. But, that's in notional dollars. If we take 0.001 Ethereum today, 5 years from now, it could be worth, whatever it is. Like it could be $15 today. It could be $150, in 5 years.
Are you guys currently live?
Yeah, we're live. We're on the App Store, VTrader.io. We're adding 136 new coins to the platform in the next 2 weeks. So going to be pretty interesting. We got about 35 right now.
Are you serving global customers or specifically U.S. customers?
U.S., some of Europe, and Africa, Nigeria specifically. We have a good amount of users in Nigeria.
Okay. And is there a KYC process, or anyone can just come on there and trade?
Yeah, pretty simple KYC process. Very much the basics, like your ID, where you live, and we do like a couple biometrics based on that.
Understood. And are you guys planning on competing with bigger exchanges like Binance and Mexi by offering perps and offering different types of campaigns, reward campaigns? I know if you've logged into Binance, I'm sure you have done competitor analysis. So I'm curious to know more about what the ecosystem offers, apart from just 0 fee trades, which is incredible in its own.
Yeah, so we have like a pretty robust affiliate program now too. So like Binance and everything like that. So if you invite other people, you get pretty good rewards. You can get up to $1,000 in rewards if you invite people, and we pay like much higher than anybody else. The other thing we do is we have like an educational program, like similar to Binance, where it's like called VTrader Academy. So we'll give you materials to learn about crypto, and then if you want to teach other people about it, and then hold like classes, you can do it on Zoom or anything like that. We'll give you rewards based on who you teach about crypto. We're just trying to broaden the ecosystem.
Interesting. So like the Coinbase Academy, but more dynamic.
Yeah, definitely. So
I love it.
You run and then one other cool feature we have too is we have this AI price prediction tool. So we take all the structured data based on like the price data and then all the news articles about crypto or specific ones. And then we say, here's what the price did over the last 7 days. And here's what our tool says for the next 7 days. And we're actually going to run a contest to see if you can beat the AI price prediction tool, we will pay you. So if you can predict the price better than the AI price prediction tool over the next 14 days, we will pay you for that. And
do you guys have, sorry, go ahead.
And then we're going to run a competition. So like who can do the best, and we'll do rewards, whatever. So we're going to try and make our model better. And we give the model away for free right now. So you can trade using our AI price prediction model right now for free.
That was my next question. So am I able to just set up an automatic, are there certain parameters I can set, and then I can, the AI tool is trading in my sleep?
Unfortunately, we can't have the AI tool trade for you yet, because that's sort of foul to some investment management rules in the US. But we give you the data, so you can say, here's what we think the price is going to be, trade accordingly. We may launch a new tool where you can designate the AI tool does it for you. We're going to have to do a bunch of disclosures. So like going back to being an attorney, I always want to be cautious in those areas, so that like we just, stay very clear of any sort of issue with the SEC.
You guys have any issues getting on the App Store or on the Google Play Store?
No, we didn't have anything with that.
Is there a web version that I can use?
Yeah, there's a web version and there's a mobile app. Yeah, so just go to VTrader.io, and then you'll see a pop-up right when you get there on the AI
VTrader. What are some leaps and hurdles? What have you guys ran into in terms of walls or bottlenecks?
I think we had like a pretty seismic shift from the last administration to this administration in the US. So like President Biden had like a more like rule by enforcement sort of thing, and like a lot of banks were scared, a lot of auditors were scared, it was just much more difficult to do business in the crypto space. And I think since January of this year, we've definitely seen a shift. So like banks are like sort of relaxing and more open to crypto companies. We've seen some we've seen like more guidance rules that have changed and sort of like softened the market approach. So like, for example, the SEC and the CFTC did a joint announcement saying like offshore exchanges are now encouraged to register as foreign boards of trade in the US. So like they're saying like basically offshore perps could be allowed to, allow US users to trade on them, provided that they, follow the appropriate disclosure rules to CFTC and SEC. We saw nothing like that for years and years and years. So I think it sort of indicates like a pretty good change here. And I'm honestly excited. We have a couple more years of this president. Like it depends on like obviously what Congress does, but I think like the crypto markets are definitely seeing like what could be like a golden age of regulatory clarity here.
I hope you're right, Steve. I keep hearing that golden age, and we do have roughly 3.5 more years. So let's hope you're right. Like a quick side question, actually. Do you think that the 4-year cycle is still something that people can rely on, or do you think that we've broken away from that just because of all the macro shifts and all the legislation from the Clarity Act to the Genius Act?
Yeah, I mean, I think great question. That's like the multi-million-dollar question now. I think we can take this side there. They're doing pretty well there. I think the one thing that is going to probably ease the sort of like the boom and bust is like the ETFs. I'm thinking you're going to get some long-term investors that sort of hold. So like the sell pressure may not be as big because the ETFs will hold such an amount. But I think like if we saw like, like the last cycle, we saw like sort of cascading bankruptcies, right? And like a bunch of like liquidations events. And I think like if we see something like that, it could cause a sharp sell-off, because if you think about it right now, like, the ETH treasury companies alone, they have like a mandate, or not a mandate, but they have a guidance saying that they're going to buy, Bit9 emerging technology. So they'll buy up to 5% of circulating supply. If that had to unwind, that could cause a lot of sell pressure. But if they don't unwind, that's a pretty good like smash buy forever. Like that's the MicroStrategy equivalent for ETH. So I think like the more that we have like sort of those long-term holders, that could evaporate the 4-year cycle. But I think that, I still would be cautious of like one sort of cascading event that would, trigger, break from this bull cycle. But I think we're still very much in like the top of the market cycle here.
I feel like there's always going to be something. There's going to be something in hindsight where we look back and say, oh my God, that was obvious. So the centralized exchange landscape is really competitive. And I'm seeing a lot of new sexes pop up from Blowfin to Weeks. And I had not heard of you all before. How are you specifically distinguishing yourselves, and what strategies are you guys using without giving away too much of your secret sauce? What strategies are you guys using to attract investors away from, places like I think 0% trading fees are enticing, but a lot of people will say, I'd rather just go with a household name rather than try a new sex. Yeah.
I definitely agree with you, right? Like it's not compelling enough on its own. That's why we're trying to layer in a bunch of other cool tools. And I think like the sum of the parts will start to get some of there. So like the AI price prediction tool, like say that starts to really work and that's cool. We have a couple other things that we're cooking up that I think are going to be like really compelling. I think if we have a bunch of sort of unique offerings and we think about it a little bit differently than like the sort of the Coinbase or something like that, we will have a decent amount of users. I also think investors can have accounts on a couple different exchanges. Like I know myself personally, I probably have, at least 8 different exchanges that I'll like trade on for different purposes. I think like VTrader has an area in that stack. I think that, if you want to accumulate your spot stack and you don't want to have the, big, price. So like maybe you don't hold your assets there until we're proven, until we become a household name. But maybe you hold your little bit, $1,000 notional there, so you don't have those fees. And then, if you have a $100,000 position, maybe you transfer that to Coinbase. Maybe you feel like for now that's a safer bet because they're a bigger name, publicly listed company. But I think we'll definitely get there. It just takes time to like become a household name. When I was at Gemini, when we were 15 people, there was nobody cared about it. No one knew it. 10 months later, all of a sudden it was like one of the biggest exchanges in the world. So like we will get there. It just depends on market dynamic.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. People have 8 exchange accounts for different reasons, and a light bulb that just went off in my head hearing you say what you did is that sometimes I want to buy. I don't know. I hear some news and I want to buy a little bit of Bitcoin, or let's say that Litecoin intern on Twitter says something funny. I want to buy some Litecoin. And I find myself kind of avoiding it because I don't, on the Coinbase app, the fees are they've kind of gotten a little ridiculous where I kind of just want to buy for fun. I'm not really trying to buy too much or pay too much in fees, and it kind of disincentivizes me. And so this idea that I could just stake $1,000 worth of ETH and I could buy and sell with 0 fees is really nice. And I think it's also nice for newbies, because I'll tell you this, I've onboarded quite a few people this year on the Coinbase, and they all ask me the same. They ask me many questions, but like the common denominating question is, why are the fees so high? Or is this normal? So I think you guys have product market fit there, or there's potential for product market fit there. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a great point. I also think, like, you know, every industry sort of does it the same way. Like, the fees condense over time. So like when it's new, people will pay a lot, right? So like now you see like online brokerages for stocks, like 0 fees is like the norm. And I think whoever has a business model that's sustainable at 0 fees, like right now Coinbase can't switch because, you know, if you look at their financials, over 90% of their revenue is from transaction fees. So they can't pivot to this model quickly, even though we know it works, because they're so reliant on those fees. They need the revenue. But for us, we are going to probably make money off a larger portion of our users, because like we're making the staked rewards if everybody participates there. So I think it's a more efficient business. And I think over the long run, you know, in the bear market, we make roughly the same amount of fees that we would during the bull market. So we're going to emerge from this, you know, next bear market, I think, much stronger than a lot of these other ones. So like a good example I always use is in 2021, like Coinbase made $7 billion, right? And Q2 or Q3 of 2022, they lost $500 million. Right. So they have like these massive operating costs. And if the transaction fees go away because nobody trades in the bear market, they're sort of in a tough spot. We sort of are just sustainable forever.
You're sustainable. Well, I guess as long as people are using the platform and staking, what I guess the risk is that the underlying asset, let's say Sol or ETH, for whatever reason, I don't believe this is going to happen, but it doesn't go up over time. So you guys are betting on these assets going up over time. Long period of time,
or they could stay the same. The thing is, like, we're still going to earn revenue every 10 minutes, right? As long as the users don't churn, we're in a good spot. And like, you know, I've been at 3 centralized exchanges. What happens is bear markets is just nobody logs in and nobody trades, but they don't really churn their deposits, you know? So I think we're in a better spot in the bear market.
What are your operating? Are you able to share your operating costs? Better question.
They're much lower. So like the good thing is, what people don't realize is, like, I've been in exchanges, event compliance, and ever, you know, you spend a lot of money on fraud, right? But if you have to hold a balance on the exchange to get the benefit of free trading, there's inherently much less fraud, right? So we're sort of filtering out the users. So we've actually had like way less chargebacks, way less like sort of these like misappropriation of funds that I've seen on other centralized exchanges, because a lot of the patterns that these other exchanges suffer from is like stolen credit card, somebody logs in, you know, hits whatever buy, withdraws the Bitcoin, it initiates a chargeback on the credit card, you know, 30 days later or something like that. We don't really have that because like most of our users hold a balance.
Right. Are you guys?
So it's like, why doesn't Costco have a problem with shoplifting? Right? There's a $2 membership, so like it's a little bit of screening. So it's honestly true.
There's also really big, and there's too many ways to sneak out of there. Okay, so.
You know, so you got to like, right? Like you got to pay to go there. So they don't see it.
So I'm curious to know, how are you guys, I guess, with low fees or 0 fees, how are you guys attracting liquidity?
For
pairs.
So for new customers?
No. Like how Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, how are you guys getting deep liquidity on the exchange?
You know, we do what pretty much all the other exchanges do, is we use a lot of partners to you know help market make, I guess.
I see. So are they earning something?
No. So I don't want to get too deep into this, but like in the market, obviously there's a difference between pricing across all exchanges across all time. In the equities world, there's a thing like the best bid, best offer rule. So like everything has to be within this sort of tight window. What we did is we basically wrote a program where we say the offers have to be within this tight window, and we solicit bids from several other places to match the orders with the customers.
I see. Okay. And what are some of the more popular trading pairs currently?
Right now, ETH is killing it.
Yeah. ETH BTC, ETH USDC. What?
ETH USDT generally. So we offer USDT on ETH and Tron. Not pretty much any US exchanges offer.
Right. I was going to ask that because
and we offer withdrawals on that. It's much cheaper, much easier. I think, I'm pretty bullish on Tron. I think it's a pretty good ecosystem. Like if you can see stablecoin supply denominated in Tron has gone like drastically up this cycle. It's kind of one of the cool stories. So we offer that, which a lot of places don't. USDC and USDT. So what you do is if you deposit on our platform, we immediately convert to stablecoin, and then you trade the stablecoin so that there's no lag.
So, Steve, we all saw what happened not last year, but 3 years ago with FTX, and it led to this new term, proof of reserves, and exchanges being transparent about them being solvent. Are you guys doing the same thing?
Yeah, this is a great question, and it plays into our strength immensely. So what we do is if you stake your balance with us to receive the free trading, we immediately put those assets into a validator. That validator is shown on chain. So when you log in, we will show, hey, your assets are actually in this validator here. So you can set alerts on it. You can do whatever you want. So you can always see where your funds are at all times. And that's just a free feature of the blockchain. So it doesn't even cost us anything to engineer that.
So where can I go and vet that if I wanted to?
So for example, if you gave me $1,000 worth of ETH, you use that ETH to get the benefit of free trading on VTrader.
Okay.
That ETH would be locked in a validator on the Beacon chain, and then you can just log in and see that publicly accessible. You don't even have to use VTrader's portal. It's in validator, whatever number. You can just see it, and then if it ever moves or comes into the unstaking queue, you would say, "Oh, my money's moving."
Are you guys labeled on Arkham?
I gotta check. I believe so. I don't typically check in on my own. I check on my own validators, but I'm not sure how we're like. I know we are in like the blockchain analytics tools. So it'll say like, these are VTrader wallet addresses. Like if we use, for example, like chain analysis or something like that, they can show where we are.
How are you guys currently, you mentioned you have a referral program, I'm sure. How are you guys currently working with influencers, KOLs?
We actually haven't really.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So we're looking for doing that soon. We've basically been doing like a lot of organic stuff. We have like a news site. We put out a lot of articles. We're trying to just do like more education and sort of like organic growth. We try to get our Twitter to be a little more active in our community, but I think, we'll probably start to reach out to some of the people in the industry and like see, who wants to use this for a while.
But onboarding newbies though, how are you guys marketing? How you guys, because most of my friends, right, you've seen this before, Steve, as well, is when we're in a bull market, everyone's all of a sudden interested in crypto, and you see spikes in the Coinbase app, and in this cycle, I've seen spikes in the Gemini app, Binance app. But these are juggernauts, and I think they have all done pretty well at marketing, and they also have the benefit of first mover advantage. How are you guys getting the word out there to, the guy downstairs who owns like a little bit of Bitcoin and ETH in his Coinbase account? How does he find out about you?
Yeah, I think we need to do more of a marketing push. We did it like basically all organic so far. We hadn't done any paid. Which
I love, by the way. I think it's important.
So one thing we did was we did these things called like satellite apps. So we created an app in the App Store called the Ethereum gas fee tracker, where basically tracked when gas fees are low or high, and then you sent your customer alerts and said like sample transaction on us. It like spoke to our customer base a lot. So we were like, this is the ETH gas tracker by VTrader. And then we did a lot of cross marketing through that. We've done things like that. We haven't done any like, full on outreach campaign. We're trying to like get the product right and make our core users happy. And now that we've started to reach like a good, like, sustainable amount of users and trading volume, I think we're going to start to do a big push into sort of like the marketing and getting it out there.
What would you tell a new user that says, I don't trust this exchange, I've never heard of them before, the 0% fees are enticing though, how can I make sure that my funds don't get hacked? The crypto bros always say, not your keys, not your coins.
Yeah. Well, I think, the good thing is if your assets are in a staking queue, especially like on an ETH, that's a 28-day unlock, right? So like, you'll know if it's going to move. It's like a built-in safety feature, built-in like velocity control, right? So like if FTX had all their funds in staking validators, we would obviously 28 days before that, that they were moving it all out, but there was nothing there. So I think like, it's very assured that your funds are held on chain and in a vehicle that cannot be like freely moved out of the staking queue.
But not all the funds on the exchange are stakeable, right? So you're going to have a lot of Bitcoin, a lot of Tether, a lot of USDC, a lot of so like, what are you guys doing on the security end?
For well, I think specifically like we have like very like strict controls like cold storage wallets and all these multiple controls or whatever. So we don't allow any of that. Our engineers, like everything is like a multi-signature to get it off. But I think we underwent like a code review and made sure that like all our things were up to the standard of like what the wallet controls that the industry would expect. So I think it generally going to be pretty safe. I think there's always some sort of risk here with crypto, especially with centralized exchanges. So you got to be somewhat nervous. But if over 95% of the funds are in cold storage at all times.
I would say somewhat cautious. Don't be nervous. Just be somewhat cautious. I think that there are pros and cons to self-custody.
The other thing is though, like we're fully domiciled here in the U.S. So you get the benefit of like the U.S. regulation course. I'm also an attorney, so like if anything happens, I lose my license immediately. Like I can to work in the future.
Where do you practice?
I'm in New York. I live in New York.
Okay, that's right. We mentioned that. So how much volume are you guys currently doing daily, and how many active traders?
So it definitely varies. So we've got good days. Obviously, like today probably not the best. There's a little bit of price action today. Yesterday we definitely saw some inflows and stuff. I would say customer wise, we're getting around 10,000 users right now. So that's pretty good for us. We're growing every day. I think like when we do certain campaigns, obviously they'll grow more, but we're starting to reach like that exit velocity. I think where we're, going to see some really good tailwinds going into the fourth quarter here.
I had a community question coming. I think I already know the answer to this, but do you guys have any non-KYC options?
No, not really, unfortunately. So like that's a pretty tough area for centralized exchanges. I mean, so we have to follow sort of the rules of the Bank Secrecy Act, unfortunately.
Yeah, of course. What about in Nigeria?
We do use KYC in Nigeria. We've actually had 0 instances of fraud in Nigeria, which is pretty awesome because like pretty much every exchange leaves Nigeria because they have fraud. We thankfully, we hired some really awesome Nigerian staff. Like our team over there absolutely kills it. And we figured out how to do it's very light KYC in a way that's effective, and it has resulted in actually no issues. The good thing we have about Nigeria is we can process payments much faster in Nigeria than we can in the US. So, we can do deposits and withdrawals like in under 10 minutes, no problem, fully settled in fiat, which is crazy because in the US, like, as you probably know, like ACH and credit card payments take like multiple days to settle. It's really cool. I love our Nigeria product. I think it's super interesting. We also offer like a free sort of like Venmo analogous service in Nigeria. So users can send stuff to each other, both fiat and crypto, and just text each other on their phone. Even if you don't have a VTrader account.
They have that in Kenya. I know they have that a similar product in Kenya.
Yeah. So we give that product away for free actually in Nigeria. So like if you want to have stable coins, you want to send it to your friend, you can send it to them. They don't even need an account for free. We don't charge for it. So hopefully that sort of takes off. I think like, the African market is much more like payments forward than the US, I think they're actually like a better use case for stablecoin. I think like, all the data I see and what I personally believe is like the African market is going to absolutely explode with crypto. And I think it already is. I think it's like the best area to use crypto for it. So,
the stable coins have found product market fit in places that I think even Bitcoin hasn't. And African nations are certainly in that camp. Nigerians, I know, use a lot of crypto. I have Kenyan friends that they hold in stable coins.
Yeah,
there are a lot of other countries as well, like Lebanon, Venezuela, Iran, that benefit a lot from stable coins, whether it's because of sanctions or because they just don't have easy access to US dollars. Where are you guys expanding to next?
So we're going to do Ghana next.
Nice.
That would be pretty awesome. I think we're going to do some South American countries too. We've talked about Argentina and Colombia. We're pretty close on working on that. It's just a different industry with like sort of getting onboarding, the local currency onto the platform.
Did you bring anyone over with you from Gemini?
I didn't. No. I've been at Gemini for a couple of years, but I did bring some other people from other places, especially currency.com. Like we had a pretty superstar marketing team over there, led by the former CEO of capital.com. He had a real eye for talent. So I've had some of those people working on our stuff here.
I mean, they're crushing it. But if you had to point out something that Gemini could have done better or could have done faster, what would you say that would be? And what lesson did you take away from that and are now applying to VTrader?
Yeah, it's really timely because their IPO is supposed to be this week, I think. So we'll see if those shares are worth anything. But I think
they will be.
Yeah, I think the things that they did, they were so early on stablecoin. So like that Gemini dollar, like that was so on time. Sometimes like you just are at fault too early. I think like hopefully they can reignite that and make that work. Because I think they launched that in, I want to say 2020, maybe even early 2019. And you think now like how hot stablecoins are, maybe they can get that market cap up. I think they built a really good product, but I think they were just like a little too late, like on releasing their app. They missed that sort of run up, that's like customer capture. Coinbase had their app in the 2017 area. Gemini didn't have it until like late 2018. I think they missed, the release on that. But I think, they were even too early on the ETF. So they had like just some series of bad luck. Like they had the application for the first spot market Bitcoin ETF and it got denied several times. I mean, had they had that, and, I think they wanted that in 2018 or no, 2017, I think.
Yeah.
First rejection. So if you think about it, like, they're definitely visionaries. Like nobody can take, but they're almost like too early in their vision. They've been right, but just 5 years too early every time, which is tough. But I wouldn't bet against those guys any chance. Like they've done a couple things like super successful. So I think like long-term bullish for Gemini definitely.
Likewise. Mobile app versus web app. You made a great point. You said they were a little slow in the mobile app and Coinbase ate that cake, and mobile is actually how most people interface with the internet. What would you say the biggest differences are between your mobile app and your web app, and what are you guys focusing more on the mobile app experience right now?
So yeah, good question. So like over 70% of the traffic is on mobile versus web. You're dead right on that. Right now, our web actually has more features and is a little bit better. Our mobile app is a little bit lacking. So we're actually pivoting to that. We're releasing these 136 new coins on the platform in the next like week and a half. And then after that, we're going to redo some of the stuff on the mobile app and add some new features so that it's in line with the web app. But, I think we got developers locked into this project. Everybody's sort of up to speed. I think that we should be able to release that probably by the end of October, and then we should be really rocking and rolling. I want to make our product really good before we launch everything. Launching stuff and it's like sort of buggy, I feel like you lose customers. So we make sure, we launch the good product all at once.
Crypto Trader 1337 wants to know if you guys are supporting Monero.
Unfortunately, not at this time.
That's what I thought.
The U.S. Treasury is, pretty adamant about anti-privacy coins.
Sure.
That is not to say that we will launch Monero offshore, undoubtedly. Monero is like, I think essential to the crypto ecosystem, and like as long as we don't forbid it in that certain jurisdiction, we would definitely offer it.
Can Kenyans, another question, use VTrader?
We've had some be able to get through.
What does that mean?
So it's based on a KYC provider, and it depends on certain things. We do want to add Kenyans like immediately. So like that's something we're absolutely working on. So I think it's case by case.
Mohammed wants to know if you guys are going to expand to Saudi Arabia or Dubai or Middle Eastern countries.
Yes, absolutely. It's a super hot crypto market. Absolutely. The thing is, the Middle East has like sort of a patchwork of licensing, so you have to figure out exactly which one you're going to do, and it's like a little bit of a process. But I do think we want to.
But you guys are tackling, I think, seem to be focusing on Africa right now.
Yeah, we just have a foothold in Africa right now. So like,
which I think is great, by the way.
Yeah, I think then we'll go more into North Africa, and then we'll go from there into the Middle East.
Okay, so you're gonna like Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, Egypt. You're gonna hit those countries as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Steve, anything that we haven't talked about that you think is important to highlight? It's been a great interview.
No, I think just that, you know, we're starting small, and then I think you know, we just want to have like a good command of what our product is, and I think we'll you know, don't bet against us. I think that, you know, we're starting to rock and roll now.
I'm about to go download it right now. I love playing with new exchanges, and the fact that I can just make small purchases and not have to worry about fees, right? Throw in half an ETH, or I guess not even a quarter. Yeah. That's great, man. Like
I know.
It's my brain is not processing that yet. That a quarter of an ETH is $1,000.
I know. Hopefully, it's gonna be even less. Hopefully,
I know.
A few months will be, you know, 0.1.
Wow. Call to action. Anything else you want to share with us before we wrap things up?
No, try our platform out, and then if anybody has any feedback, you know, we're quick to respond with this kind of stuff and like help make us product better. And,
where do they reach out to you?
If you do office at VTrader.io, it's on the website.
Can they get in touch with you on Twitter as well?
Oh yeah, so it's at Stevie Satoshi on Twitter.
Okay,
catch me on Twitter.
And so they can get in touch with you, Steve, directly.
Yeah, definitely.
Very cool. Yeah. Steve, it's been an absolute pleasure. Wish you guys all the best, and let us know how else we can support you.
Thanks a lot, Noah.
Take care.